Hey everyone, I just want to make this video to show you what I did to replace the reverse cable lock nut and the steering cable lock nut on my 2004 Seadoo GTI LE. So I got this kit on Amazon, which I've already installed, but this is to replace the locking nuts that go over the cables. And the reason why you want to replace these is because a lot of the times these old nylon nuts will break, like this one did. This side was on the reverse side, and what can happen is this nut will break off, leaving this little threaded part in your jet ski, and it'll allow water to go in to the engine bay. This is exactly what mine was doing. This was why my jet ski was leaking. So this kit was a very simple and straightforward solution for me. I know a lot of people had troubles with it, with their kit not fitting their jet ski properly. However, on this model and this one, it did fit my jet ski just perfectly. So what you're gonna need is you're gonna need a 1-inch socket. You're gonna need a 15th, 16th socket. I used some pipe thread sealant, a Allen key, and I'll show you why, some vice grips, needle nose pliers, a 10mm, 11mm, and an adjustable wrench. And then your kit, and then also, depending on your needs, you might need a 1/2 inch copper pipe. So the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna drop down your reverse system. And I started on my left side first, so you're gonna undo this bolt and undo this. Make sure you remember where the washers go. This is a 10mm, so pop that out. And then this is your adjustable reverse nut. You want to count how many times this is backed out. Mine was 20 counts out. You have to undo this little lock nut for it. Take that off, and then the next thing you want to take off are these little boots. This one, as well as this one. You're going to slide those off. They can be a little bit tricky to get off. And then what I did was I got my 1-inch socket. I know Seadoo makes a tool like this one. However, I didn't have that tool and I didn't want to pay for it. And so I used my 1-inch socket, and that's what's going to fit over the stock nuts. Actually, these are going to be 15th, 16ths. However, my 15th, 16th socket didn't fit over it, so I had to use a 1-inch. Now, what can happen, and this is what mine was this threaded part was broken off. So the nut and the threaded part were broken off. And so I had to remove the nut, and this little plastic piece is gonna be stuck in here. It's gonna be stuck in, and that's what's gonna be letting water through. Now, I've seen some guys on YouTube, as well as on some of the comments in the Amazon description, they use this little trick to get the threaded part out. And what you do is you take a 1/2 inch copper pipe, and I cut it with a Dremel. And then I started peeling back these little things. And what that'll do, and I'll show you a photo of what it looks like, you're gonna take this and you're gonna slide it over this reverse cable. So you're gonna slide it all the way over this cable until you jam it into the broken off piece. Now, what I did was I just pushed it in as hard as I could, tapped it in with a hammer, and then I got vice grips and I started turning it. And those little barbs will catch onto the threads, the inside of the threads, and you start to turn it. And luckily, it wasn't that hard. It pulled out the broken off nylon threads. Once you get that little broken off threaded insert out, it's very simple. You take the components of the kit. Now this is the stock one that's on there. You'll get the red one in the kit. And you'll also have these two little collars. So what you want to do is you put on this O-ring first. I know some people were saying the O-rings aren't quite the same, which it's true. This one has a little lip, this one does not. However, it doesn't really matter. So you're going to take this O-ring, you're going to slide it on first, all the way in, and then you're going to take each half of these little collars and you're going to clip it on. And the direction is important. It'll only go one way, so the lip is going to be facing out. So it's gonna be facing towards the nut. You'll clip these little halves on each side, and then you'll take this red lock nut and you will slide it on and you'll push everything in. Now you tighten it by hand, make sure that it's finger tight, it's not cross-threaded. These metal ones are easy to cross-thread, so just make sure you're putting it on by hand first. I also put on some of this thread sealant on the metal screws. It just helps seal up any threads and allows no water to get in. As you can see, I have it on there just like that. So after it's hand tight, this is where the 1-inch socket comes into play. These red ones are perfect 1-inch size. The Seadoo tool is not going to fit, and I know a lot of people in the comments have said that. So here's what I did. I slid this, and you can turn this whole steering column to give you more room to work with. I slid this all the way up and over, all the way to that nut, and I continued to hand tighten it. Now, once it got too tight to where I couldn't spin this by hand, this is where this little Allen key comes into play. My impact sockets have this little hole. So what I did was I put this Allen key in there like that. So the Allen key is gonna look like that. So you're gonna slide this whole assembly into this, and this gives you leverage to crank it over. Now, once it's on that nut, you can crank it over and just tighten it up with this Allen key. You don't have a ton of room, but it definitely works. You just want to get these things snug. You don't want to crank them on there because that's metal going into plastic, and it will break if you push it on too hard. So just snug it up. The pipe sealant will do the rest. And then for the other side, you do the same thing. Take off this is a 10mm bolt. Take it off. You are going to, I like to move this out of the way so it frees you up some room. And then you take off this little boot, and this one only has one boot on it. So you pop this guy off, you pop this off, and then you have to undo the steering adjustment. Now, again, count these, how many times you back them out. Mine was 9. And then you have everything off of it. Then, say it's your stock one is still in there, you pop on the 1-inch socket. Again, use that little tool with the Allen key to loosen it up and start loosening it up. Now, mine was easiest. I opened it up all the way like this. This allowed me to get the socket on, and then I closed it up. So the socket's all the way in, and then what I did was I put my hand underneath here. So I went from the bottom. Now, it's a lot more room on the bottom than the top. Your hand's gonna get all nasty. This is the exhaust side. And then you use the little Allen key, loosen it up, and pull it out. Now it's the same exact thing on the other side, on the steering side. You pull off this, you'll pull off the collar, and then you'll pull off the O-ring. Now just the kit comes with everything, so put it all back on the same way. Put the nut back on, use your 1-inch socket, and tighten it from the bottom, so down here. This just allows you to not have to take apart the whole assembly, and you don't have to buy the Seadoo tool. This worked for me. Both sides were the same, so they went on perfectly fine. I think some people were saying that their thread sizes were a little bit different, but this kit and this jet ski, it worked just the same, it worked perfectly. One thing that I did was I used the stock collars. So mine were in good condition, they fit perfectly. I didn't even try these. I think these, might be the same size, but I just left the stock ones on there. Like if everything's fine and I'm just replacing it, I just use the stock ones. I did replace the O-ring, but that's up to you. You can decide if you want to reuse it or replace it. That's what I did. Just put everything back together the same way you took it off. Do one side at a time, and it's pretty simple. It took me about 30 minutes total, and the hardest part was just finding the right tools for it. I really hope that helped you guys. I'll try to answer any questions in the comments if you have any. Thanks.